Hello, Motorrad World fans, and welcome to another very special interview that we have with you. And it's not one of our MotoGP riders, but it's another man who's pretty much at the top of his game. He's one of the dirtiest bastards you'll ever meet. He's one of South Africa's fastest, dirtiest bastards you'll ever meet. And we've been asked to do more dirty bastard stuff because people love to see and hear about men playing in the dirt. So we've got one of the finest men at playing in the dirt. He's not only an SA star, but he's an international star. So we're doing this thing with Motorrad World now called The Dirty Side by Motorrad World. And I'm very pleased to say that the first guest on the dirty side of Motorrad World is Mr. Wade Young, international superstar himself. Wade, how are you doing?
How's it, Rob? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good, man. Thanks so much for taking the time out to join us. Wade, crazy times the last couple of years. Just bring us up to date with what your plans are for 2021. Racing locally, racing internationally. Where are you basing yourself? In South Africa, overseas? What's the deal?
So currently I'm in South Africa. I'm doing the South African National Enduro this weekend coming up. But yeah, it's been a struggle to get overseas, I think, as everyone knows it. But yeah, just using South African as training and then head over to Europe, hopefully in April, and the racing starts in May there. So hopefully I can get over and get back to the new West World Championship, which is awesome.
And what is the level like now? You said you're competing in the first round of SA Enduro, which is this Saturday at Titan in Hearties. I mean, there's still some massive names in South African enduro racing. So, I mean, you really are competing against a high level, which gets you nice and prepped for overseas.
Yeah, for sure. The South African level and say yeah, top riders is very competitive worldwide. So racing in South Africa is no small yeah event. It's quite big. It's challenging riders like Travis, Brett Swanepoel, and yeah, a whole bunch more.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm actually going to be commentating on this year's enduro racing for SA Enduro. So I'm looking forward to getting more involved and more up to speed with the enduro scene, because I still get confused between enduro, off-road, and cross-country and that. I mean, the enduro side, you more of the hard enduro guy. So you find a building and you want to ride through it type thing. Tell us, like South African enduro, the layout and the events compared to the overseas stuff. I know the motocross guys here sometimes say that overseas it's a lot more demanding, the tracks and the layouts. They really do battle when they go overseas. Is it the same with you? Do you find that, yeah, well, it's a good level here, it's nowhere near the level of overseas?
Yeah, so to sum it up for you, there's Extreme Enduro, which is Erzberg and Romaniacs and Roof Africa. That's really hard, technical, and very skill orientated. Not that the others aren't. And then there's normal enduro, which is basically it's in a bush. So that enduro's class is in a bush. Um, Enduro, it's not very hard. It's like technical on the natural terrain on the roads, up a little crest and that. But it's not physically hard uphills and that. It's just yeah, single tracks and stuff like that. And then you have off roads, which is basically very fast racing, like over 100k an hour average speed. Yeah, that's just really fast. Basically, a 450 big fast bike for that.
Okay, and your 2021 season. So until you can get overseas, where and how does the season start overseas, and what are you racing? You still on the Sherco?
Yeah, I'm on the Sherco 300 2021, the two-stroke. And yeah, that's the bike of choice for the season. Yeah.
And the championship you're racing, obviously, have you heard anything about Erzberg and all those events now? Because, you know, I see with MotoGP and World Superbikes,
Yeah.
you know, calendars being shuffled. So what is your calendar looking like if you do get overseas?
Yeah, so the racing starting in May. That's when it's meant to kick off the first round in Lagares. Yeah, so that's the main focus. So last year it was West. It wasn't actually a World Championship. And this year it changed to a World Championship, which was awesome. So basically, if you the best rider out of the 10 races or 11 races, you'll be classed as a world champion through FIM, which is the first for us. So through these tough times, it's actually something good to look forward to be called a world champion at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's ultimately what we're all looking for, especially you guys. Talking about these tough races that you do now, I just can't wrap my head around when I watch you guys do Erzberg, C2 Sky, all these crazy things. What is the toughest race that you've ever done in your life? I mean, thinking you've done Roof of Africa, Erzberg, all of those. What is the toughest one where you see it on the calendar and you go, oh, no, please, I really don't feel like doing this race?
Yeah, they all have their tough moments where you're battling to breathe or you're looking up at an uphill and you're just thinking, no, man, I've been on this bike for 8 hours. I don't know how I'm going to get to the top of this thing. So, those those most tough races, and I recall it many times at Romaniacs, the 5-day race. And then on the 4th day, you 6 hours into the race. And then you come over horizon and you see where the finish is. But you think, okay, well, it's not far. I'm going to be in half an hour, I'll probably be at the finish. And then 2 hours later, you're just thinking, like, what's going on? I'm in the bottom of this river in this hill, and I don't know how I'm going to get to the top of it. So I've had that a few times at Romaniacs. But yeah, and then Erzberg and Kohlsdana, those rocks are just unforgiving. It's just an hour and a half of just your heart rate's like on 100 and whatever max, and you're just thinking, I don't know how I'm going to keep pushing. The cameras are on me, everyone's watching me on TV, and like all I want to do is just take a break. So there's every race has its moments.
I was going to say to you, in those tough moments where you're sitting in the Roof of Africa or halfway up a hill, you have no more energy, you're sapped, you just want to give up and give in. I mean, what? How far do you have to dig down to find the motivation to get going? I mean, is it a case of, okay, I've trained myself, I've prepared myself, or is it more physical in that kind of scenario, or is it all mental? Is it your body shutting down, your mind more shutting down, or is it both?
Yeah, basically once you're tired, once your muscles are tired, your mind goes at the same time. And when your mind goes, you do such silly things. Like you often see like old, especially I still remember like watching Daryl Curtis and those guys and riding with them and Jay Goodson, and they're so good. And then you see them all of a sudden like flip their bikes. Like you just see a bike go flying, and that's what happens when you basically just get so tired, you just start doing silly things. So what the best thing to do, well, nowadays, is just manage your energy and that. So basically I've had those moments where I'm so trained and so buggered, I literally just try putt to the finish line and just basically and learn from those moments. So you just look, I can't fly after, I need to save my energy. When we're training, we're riding, and our training is to get through everything with as little energy as possible. And that's really what makes the difference at the end of the day, because you can be the world's fittest human, but if you're using so much energy, no matter how fit you are, in 3 hours on a motorbike with a 90 kg bike, you're going to be buggered. So in training and that, it's the key is to get through everything with little to no energy, and basically to ride a motorbike as smooth and fast as you can all day.
So one of the questions we had on our Facebook post from Hugo Arota is, "Hi Wade, what type of energy products do you use most throughout your day to maintain your hydration and fitness levels? What is your favorite thing to consume just before a race to give you that boost for the day?"
So I wake up and I have a big bowl of cereal. That's my standard procedure every morning, and also race morning. Through a race day, I don't actually during the races apple. Apple that's had the skin peeled, or any fruits or something like that. Sometimes nuts, but not really. Mostly it's apple. Um, and then I have electrolytes in my camel pack. I actually use a brand called Cadence. And yeah, if it's a short race and like for a prologue or something, just to get a lot of energy, and because it's so short, I normally have half Red Bull and half water, and I'll have that just before going out on like a prologue, for example, where it's just really short, and just need a burst of energy.
Yeah, I've actually heard Brad Binder do that at MotoGP as well with the Red Bull stations. They set that up for him. So that's obviously a key. I must actually try it in my squash game tonight. Maybe I'll drill this oak that I'm going to play even more. We have another question on Facebook. I'm going to destroy him. Half a can of Red Bull and water. I'm going to do it. Another question from Nick Papadimos. I hope I said that right. Greetings to Wade from Greece. Met him at the World Enduro held at Gastonia in 2013. Question: does he still have a mentor or coach?
No, at the moment, no. I haven't had anyone for quite some time. I have a lot of friends and yeah, I can say close older friends that are quite knowledgeable in terms of life and training, and just very educated and learn a lot about stuff. That advise me on things and that. But yeah, our schedules are very busy, and with training programs and that, it's quite difficult to stick to not being in the same place for so long. So I kind of know where my fitness needs to be and when I'm feeling my best with my training. So yeah, at the moment I don't have a coach.
And then I want to cast your mind back, because I still remember it almost clear as day, many years ago. I think you were 16 years old at the time. The 16-year-old wins the Roof of Africa. Oh, everyone couldn't believe it. We have this massive superstar. Looking back at that to where you are today, did you and could you see your career going the way it has, becoming one of the best enduro riders, not only in SA, but in the world?
No, I didn't. I can definitely say that the dream was there. Got to look at my bike in the garage and like my little 65, and like just looking through it and just like sitting there and daydreaming like, yo, it would be so awesome to race overseas one day. And so that dream always stayed there. At that age, you're not really thinking if it's going to happen or not. You're just dreaming. So yeah, the first time when I really got the opportunity to go overseas, it was like, jeepers, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, I can imagine. It just, I mean, not everyone gets to experience that feeling, so I can't even imagine. And every time I speak to Brad or some of the other Oaks for overseas, they have that same kind of feeling. Do you still, when you're at Romaniacs or Erzberg or wherever, do you still sometimes pinch yourself and say, "Holy crap, I'm like here"?
Yeah, when you get there and you have your factory team with you, and yeah, you're competing in the big races and you're competing with the top guys, then it's like, yo, this is awesome. This was the dream. When I was a little kid, that's the dream, and now it's living the dream. But I also can be lonely. People don't speak the same language. which there's not too many people just a phone call away in the area. So yeah, the dream it's unbelievable, and especially to compete on a top level against the best in the world with a great team behind me. It's absolutely it's really awesome.
So during your time overseas doing all these races, which is that rider that you looked at next to you or behind you or in front of you that you like idolized, that you went, sure, I can't believe I'm sharing the same rocks or the same mountain or the same empty building as this guy. I know, like Brad and them talk about being on track with Rossi and that. Who is your Rossi that you looked at and went, I cannot believe I'm looking at this guy in front of me? Who is your
Yeah, I think an old. He's like a similar Rossi version, Extreme Enduro. I think I'm not sure exactly, but he's around 43 or 44. And when he turned 40, everyone was like, yeah, surely this is his last year. And then he'll be done. And then just year after year, he just kept on winning Erzberg and doing, winning other races and that. And also just riding behind him, I have over the years racing internationally, I've learned so much just by following the guy.
And your new Sherco package, your 2021, how much time have you been able to spend on it and develop it? And what is the plus side of riding a Sherco compared to the other machines that you can see?
So what I enjoy most about the bike, it's got a lot of torque in the bottom end on the engine compared to the other bikes, and that's really nice. And the extreme stuff, the key is not to break traction on the back wheel. As soon as you break traction, you're losing time, and you're going to go backwards. You're not going to get up anything, and the back's going to slide out. So with that load on torque on the bike, it just rolls over things so much easier without effort in that. So that's a big key. But then going back to your question with testing and developing for the season, obviously COVID was happening. It was kind of just before COVID kicked off. I was overseas at the end of last year, so we did quite a bit of testing and developing for this season coming up. But also I haven't done as much as planned and would have liked to, because I can't get overseas at the moment. So hopefully I can get overseas and get some testing done and before the season starts.
Now, for a guy like me that comes from more of a road racing background, I look at you guys and I still see a lot of you guys going the two-stroke way. And you talk about torque and that, and when we think of road racing, a four-stroke just makes more torque than a two-stroke. So why, when we see Erzberg Romaniacs, why do we just see 100 million bikes setting off the line with puffs of smoke coming out? Why is a two-stroke still the bike to have in the slow speed stuff?
You see, with the two-stroke, it's a whole lot lighter bike. A four-stroke's got a big piston or whatever. It's a heavy bike to maneuver and that. And a four-stroke does have torque, but it doesn't have torque right off the bottom. So, for instance, a 450 four-stroke would fall into the same class as a 300 two-stroke. And I think the weight difference is probably about 10 to 20 kgs. And right off the bottom of a four-stroke, it doesn't actually it has torque, but it doesn't have smooth delivery power. You have to use a lot of clutch. So that's the main reason. And a two-stroke's got a power band as well. So we don't often get a big run up to, say, a steep hill. And with the two-stroke, you can really get all the revs up and let the clutch out and basically straight bang into power band. So you need that high revving up the hills and that. And I think the biggest thing is basically it runs a lot cooler, it's lighter, and it has a big snap with the power band for the hills.
Now, when you say you did testing in that for Sherco at the end of last year, how much of your input and your development with the race team does the factory? Because I don't think people quite understand that you are a factory Sherco rider. So it's not Sherco South Africa necessarily sponsoring you. You are signed to the actual factory. How much of your input do they take and say, using to the production models that the end user can buy?
I definitely think it goes back to factory. The developments and the guys and the engineers and that, they don't say, every now and again we bump into each other at the factory and they ask a few questions and that. If there's a problem, yeah, we speak quite closely, but a lot of the time we deal with our mechanics and everything goes from our mechanics through back to the engineers and that. Yeah, I think, and then obviously if we have a problem, it goes through the engineers and then that gets fixed on the main bikes. But yeah, look, anything I need changed and modified and that, they're happy to listen and make things happen. So yeah, that's real cool.
So just quickly, what tires and mousses and all these funny things do you guys use? Because I'm always interested in knowing, do you get off the shelf stuff that the everyday customer can use, or is your stuff again just handmade, like MotoGP stuff, handmade tires, handmade mousses that no one else can get?
No, so basically everything that we have, the normal guy can buy. Obviously, we would get it a lot sooner before the market gets it. For example, our Michelin tires, I think have only just been released at the end of last year. We were already racing a whole season with them before. Yeah, so we use a really soft gummy tire for the extreme, and that gives a lot of traction on the slippery rocks and that. With a very soft mousse and probably a pressure of 0.5 bar. So it basically wraps around the rocks and the logs and that for maximum traction.
So what is that Michelin tire that you use? You've been with Michelin for quite a long time now. So you happy with the tire?
Yeah.
And have there ever been discussions with you and the team of moving brands, but it doesn't seem to be affecting you anyway?
Yeah. Well, I've been with Michelin now for 2 years. In my opinion, tires are a huge thing. I think it's the same as MotoGP. Everyone's on the same tire, but tire choice is huge. And it's the exact same with us. So at the moment, Michelin's got a really good extreme enduro tire, which makes all the difference. Also, so I think all the teams are trying to get on the Michelin train.
Last question for you, Wade. For the 2021 season, of course, you're looking forward to getting overseas and that. But at the moment, is it just the first round of Enduro here in South Africa that you look at doing? And then what is the round that you're most excited at? What is that round on the calendar that pops out and you say, yeah, I can't wait to get there and destroy everyone?
So yeah, just the first one in South Africa next weekend, and then hopefully I'll get overseas. Yeah, really, I'm looking forward to all of them. I'm looking at the bigger picture to the world championship at the end of the year. So I look at every race as to just aim at the top and give it absolutely everything, because obviously every race at the end of the day is going to add up to the championship. So every race that I'm looking forward to, everyone's super important. So yeah, I'm just gonna give it everything at everyone.
Yeah, nice, Wade. Thanks so much again for taking out the time to talk to us. We're going to be following you a lot more this year now that we got the dirty side of Motor Rider World. I've got your email address, so we'll be popping you. We'll catch up with you later in the year as well to see how the season's gone so far, or if you're still in South Africa and can't get overseas. Let's hope that's not the case. But yeah, man, all the best. Keep doing what you're doing. You're making South Africa proud. You're getting guys like me more interested in the dirty side of motorcycling, even though I hate getting dirty. But yeah, keep doing what you're doing, and the best of luck, man.
Like a shot, Rob. Cool, man. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, mate. Keep well, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Bye.
man.
Cheers. Bye.